Hey everybody, Ace Trenolium here. Now this is going to be more of a discussion video. There's not really going to be a lot of a visual element to it unless you like seeing me flap my arms around like Chester V. So feel free to tab out of this video and just listen to me rambling while you're doing something else. It's not really supposed to be a very visual heavy video. This is a discussion about Ultra Sun and Moon and the 10 things that we know so far about these games. Now there are more than 10 things we could talk about with regards to Ultra Sun and Moon and what we know so far. However, I'm going with the ones that I think are the 10 most important. However, if you do think there's something that is more important than the things I've talked about today, let me know in the comments below. Just let's discuss this. Let's talk about this. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are literally less than a month away. Let's get hyped for this thing. So of course, if you're ready for some Sun and Moon discussion, grab a cup of tea, and let's get talking. So firstly, what I want to talk about is one of the very first things we found out about Ultra Sun and Moon, which we found out back in June, which is that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are going to be an enhanced version of Pokemon Sun and Moon. So the successors to Pokemon Sun and Moon are not going to be sequels or prequels or anything like that. These are going to be things happening to the kind of same story, but very much different things are going to happen throughout that story. It's an alternate version, a kind of alternate universe equivalent to Pokemon Sun and Moon. This is something Pokemon have done before. We've seen them do it with Pokemon games like Emerald and Platinum, where the story is very much the same, but also there are all these different elements to it. Like, for example, in Pokemon Platinum compared to Diamond and Pearl, we had the whole section in the Distortion world, which was completely absent from the story of Diamond and Pearl. With Ultra Sun and Moon, we are getting an entirely new story, but it's built around the previous story. So I'm pretty much almost 100% certain that we're going to start these games as just having arrived in Alola, having moved over from Kanto, where we're going to meet Hau and we're going to meet Lily in certain ways, and throughout the story, we're slowly but surely going to develop the story in this different direction that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is going to take us, which is where it starts to involve all the other things that we've seen in other trailers, which we'll get to a little bit later on. Adding on to this, another thing that we do know is that the Alola Dex is going to be different this time. Now, we don't know if we're getting brand new Alolan Pokemon. We don't really know that much yet. All we know is a couple that we'll get to in a bit, but we do know in terms of Pokemon that we already know from the previous 6 generations, we are getting a different assortment of Pokemon in the Alola Dex. So the Alola Dex is going to be made up of Alolan Pokemon, obviously, but the non-Alolan Pokemon that are going to be in that deck are going to be significantly different to what we had in the previous games. This is good for completionists who want to have Alolan Pokemon, like Alolan-born Pokemon from other generations that have the little symbol in the Alola Dex without having to transfer them all over and breed them to make sure they're born in Alola. These Pokemon are going to be native to Alola and wild caught in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. You've got Pokemon like Tropius, Houndoom, Electrike, Volcarona. These kinds of Pokemon that previously we had to transfer over with Pokemon Bank are now going to be in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, wild in the Alola region. This is very, very significant because it allows for that completion. As well as that, we have been told we are going to be getting legendary Pokemon from previous generations available for capture in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Mewtwo is a perfect example. Mewtwo hasn't been catchable in the wild since the Pokemon Village in Pokemon X and Y, which was in 2013. So for the first time in 4 years, in fact it'll be more than 4 years because X and Y came out in October, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are coming out in November. So in more than 4 years, Mewtwo is going to be catchable in the wild. Somewhere in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon there is going to be a place where we can go, whether it's through a wormhole, whether it is actually a location within the Alola map, where we can catch Mewtwo, which is going to be really, really cool. The next thing we know about Ultra Sun and Moon is that Ultra Space is going to be explorable. So as opposed to what we had before, which was Ultra Space being just a little slither of walkway, if you like, where you walk from Solgaleo or Lunala to Luzamine, cutscene, fight her, then get sent back to the real world. Ultra Space this time is going to be explorable. We're going to the Ultra Beast's home, and we're also going to be able to find wild Ultra Beasts in their natural habitat. We've seen shots of Buzzwole in that kind of jungle looking place. We've seen Ultra Megalopolis, which is a very significant city in Ultra Space because that's where people who live in Ultra Space live. And this is the significant place where we're going to make our way to find our way to Necrozma, who appears to be one of the main protagonists of the game. It's going to be interesting to see if in some way, shape or form Necrozma is the big bad guy in this game and is actually controlling people, or if people are after Necrozma and Necrozma is acting out of sort of retaliation rather than actually being a bad Pokemon. On a similar topic to that, we have also had confirmed that we are getting new Pokemon of sorts. We're getting Ultra Beasts, new Ultra Beasts. So whereas we had the previous Ultra Beasts, which I believe were Buzzwole, Pheromosa, Nihilego, Kartana, Celesteela, Guzzlord, Xurkitree, I think I've said Buzzwole. Who's the other one? I think, is that all of them? Is that all of them? 7? Was there 7? I've missed somebody, I'm pretty sure. But on top of that, we are going to be getting 3 brand new Ultra Beasts who, at the moment, we only know their code names. We have UB Burst, which is a Ghost and Fire type Pokemon based on fireworks, can explode its own head, you know, just that old chestnut. We have UB Assembly, which is the big brick wall looking thing, which is rock and steel. And then we also have UB Adhesive, which is the poison type, which is the little cute mythical Pokemon looking Ultra Beast. And interestingly, we do see trainers using Ultra Beast. Now I criticize this a little bit because a lot of people are like, wow, that trainer's got an Ultra Beast, that's incredible. Whereas my argument was, yeah, but Luzamine caught Nihilego in a Beast Ball. And yes, Nihilego did absorb her and didn't really battle against us. I'm still a little bit skeptical, like, I mean, we've had trainers with Ultra Beast before, technically. That was a trainer who owned an Ultra Beast. But I get that the hype is that trainers are going to be using Ultra Beast against us in battle. We've seen the Ultra Recon squad using a UB Adhesive, that's the one. The UB Glue, I'm going to call it. UB Glue. UB Glue has been used against the trainer by another trainer. Now, that's something we've not seen before because, of course, Luzamine got absorbed by Nihilego and just used other Pokemon against us, because when you're that powerful that you can absorb a human, just use other Pokemon. Like, why fight yourself? Why break a nail? As I alluded to in the Ultra Base's explorable bit, Necrozma is a key point of the story, having stolen the light from Ultra Megalopolis, also having captured Solgaleo or Lunala, depending on which version of the game you have. So Necrozma is effectively fused with, I imagine, the power of Solgaleo or Lunala, and that's how it's managing to wreak as much havoc as it is, because I imagine it gets some kind of significant power boost by being combined with Solgaleo or Lunala. It's going to be interesting to see if we get different forms of Solgaleo or Lunala that are like Solgaleo and Lunala with their power removed, because it does kind of hint that Necrozma has taken part of Solgaleo or Lunala as opposed to taking the whole of them. Like, it's captured them. So maybe there are like mini forms of Solgaleo and Lunala that are like power drained versions of them that are prisoners at Ultra Megalopolis. Who knows? All we know is that Necrozma is going to be so imperative to the story. Like, there's going to be no way of progressing through this story without having to have a big boss battle with Necrozma, which I'm praying Game Freak make incredibly difficult. I know they won't, because they always tend to make the games a lot easier now, but I beg them. I really hope, I know the games are probably complete by now anyway, they were probably completed a few weeks ago, but I really want there to be a big, difficult boss battle with Necrozma. I want Necrozma to be tough to defeat, and I want it to be, we have to defeat him, as opposed to we have to capture him. I feel like we should have to capture Necrozma later on, but we should have to properly destroy him to advance in the game. One thing we also know is that we're going to get brand new Z moves for a variety of different Pokemon. So far we've had it confirmed that Lycanroc is getting a brand new exclusive Z move. I believe it is a rock type Z move. And we've got Kommo-o with that new dragon type Z move, which, by the way, if you've not watched the trailer with the Kommo-o Z move, you need to go and see it, because the animation is absolutely beautiful. And of course there's been a lot of speculation about other Pokemon that could possibly have a brand new Z move. For example, there's a lot of speculation around both Mimikyu and Togedemaru having their own exclusive Z move. I mean, the logic behind it makes sense to me, because in the part of the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon trailer where they show Lycanroc jumping into the air for its Z move, they also showed kind of animated shots of Mimikyu and Togedemaru, and of course, why show those kind of cinematic shots if it wasn't going to be for those Pokemon? However, another bit of speculation is that they could also be the animation for Totem Pokemon. So that could be like a Totem Mimikyu in a different location to the Thrifty Megamart, actually jumping out at us, and that shot of Togedemaru looking quite angry could be Totem Togedemaru ready to jump out and attack us, but who knows? I think the most likely idea is that they are Z moves, but what do you think? Let me know. Whilst on the topic of new things that Pokemon are getting, we're also going to talk about new Pokemon forms, because we have been shown, I mean, it's a little bit flimsy, because we've been shown that we're going to get a new Pokemon form in terms of Lycanroc getting Dusk form to coincide with Ash having a Lycanroc Dusk form in the anime, and I don't know if one Pokemon being revealed to have a new form is enough evidence to say, hey, a bunch of Pokemon are getting new forms, because Lycanroc is a Pokemon that already had different forms anyway, so a Pokemon with different forms getting a new form is not in the realm of unlikely to be the only one. However, there is a lot of speculation that we are going to get new Alolan forms, and it would make sense, but personally, I'm just not seeing it yet. I feel like we'll be surprised. There should be new Alolan forms. It makes sense to me that we should get new Alolan forms because they were so popular, and some of the Alolan form Pokemon have been very popular in the competitive scene, such as Alolan Marowak and Alolan Raichu. I just haven't seen enough evidence yet to say that we're definitely getting more than just another Lycanroc form. I mean, if anything, if you want to argue that Lycanroc is proof that we're getting new Pokemon forms, it's more likely that we'd get like 2 more Oricorio forms, because that, again, is a Pokemon with multiple forms that we've already had. So, the Pokemon with multiple forms getting new forms makes more sense to me than the Pokemon that don't have alternate forms getting new forms. Does that make sense? I've said forms a lot. The too long didn't read of this is I think we're getting new Alolan forms. I hope we're getting new Alolan forms, but I also don't think Lycanroc having a new form, when it already has alternate forms anyway, is any kind of evidence that we're going to get new Alolan forms. That's just a bit of a stretch to me. But I do hope we get them. I know it's not a form change, but I'm going to mention it as a side note anyway as well. We have had a new ride Pokemon revealed in the form of Mantine. So we're going to be able to surf from island to island. We're going to be able to do tricks on waves and stuff like that. Don't know what that particularly gets you apart from like street cred. But we are going to be able to travel on Mantine from island to island. So we don't have to use Charizard Glide to get from an island. We have extra accessible areas. Wouldn't be surprised if some kind of dive mechanic comes in, since we are going to be traveling across a lot of water. So just to shake things up, maybe there'll be a Pokemon that can dive so we can go under the water. Maybe find Pokemon like Kyogre down there, perhaps. But another thing we do know is that the Rotom Dex has had a little bit of an upgrade. So not only will we be able to use Roto Lotto, which is basically kind of a lottery system where you roll it round, do whatever you need to do to make the lotto happen, and you get rewarded with an item. That item allows you to use what is the equivalent of an O power to boost one of your stats for a certain amount of time. I don't know how long the stat boost lasts for, but for example, you can decrease the prices of the items at shops. You can increase experience points gained during a battle. I don't know if they have different levels, but we know that there are an absolute variety. You can do HP restoring and things like that. So it's basically O powers, if you remember them from X and Y and from Oras. They're kind of making a comeback in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Also on top of that, there's the Photo Club, where you can take your Pokemon, you can make them pose in a certain way because you can make them perform an animation and then stop that animation, like freeze frame it, so that you can then pose your trainer, pose your Pokemon, put like stickers and things on them, choose the background and whatnot, so you can make cool little pictures to send to all your friends and whatnot. I don't really know anybody that does that kind of thing, but sure kids will love it. So, you know, there's the Photo Club, so a lot of places where we saw empty plots of land, which we thought were going to be Pokemon gyms, are actually becoming photo booths, which is a little bit disappointing. Although, you know, we've seen some shots that do very much look like Lieutenant Surge's gym, so who knows? Maybe we will get gyms in some capacity. Who knows? Might even be like a battle factory or something. There's a lot of speculation going on there. All we know at the moment is we're getting a photo club because that's what we asked for. We also know that this is the last Pokemon game that is going to be on the Nintendo 3DS. Now, this is something that was met with both a lot of praise and a lot of criticism, but also a bit of hypocrisy as well. So just to kind of explain the mindset of Game Freak making this decision, Shigeru Omori literally said in an IGN interview that in 2013, 4 years ago, when X and Y was released, Game Freak thought at that time that they'd reached the limits of what they could do with the Nintendo 3DS. But they then did Oras, and they then pushed the limits, and then Sun and Moon, they pushed the limits even further, and now they're saying with Ultra Sun and Moon, they pushed the limits of the Nintendo 3DS literally further than they ever thought it would be able to go. The 3DS, if they keep going at the rate they're going, the 3DS just can't handle them. The 3DS is, to them, is a dead platform because it's just not powerful enough to do the things that they want to do with the Pokemon franchise. This is where all the hypocrisy comes in though. Technically, we already knew in June that this was going to be the last main series Pokemon game on the Nintendo 3DS. Because during the same Nintendo Direct where they announced Pokémon Tournament DX, where they announced Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they also did a short little interview where they said, oh, by the way, we are going to Nintendo Switch. The next core RPG in the Pokemon series is going to be on the Nintendo Switch. So it doesn't make sense to me that when they announced, oh, by the way, we're not making any more 3DS Pokemon games, there was so much uproar in the community. Like, people were saying, oh, so suddenly I'm not going to get Diamond and Pearl remakes on the 3DS. Oh, I see, now I have to buy a Nintendo Switch because I don't have all I've got is the 3DS. And I'm like, but you guys were moaning that when Pokemon Stars was rumoured, which ultimately became, people realised was Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, people were saying Stars has to be on the Switch. Pokemon Stars, it's gotta be on the Switch. If the next Pokemon game that comes out is not on the Nintendo Switch, I'm boycotting Pokemon, people were saying. Like, people were just like, oh, they need to move to the Switch. The Switch is out, there are barely any games for them, and Pokemon Stars is being rumoured, so get it on the Switch. As soon as they announced it for the 3DS, everyone's disappointed. Like, as soon as it was announced that Ultra Sun and Moon was going to be happening, and was going to be happening on the 3DS, people were disappointed. But then, when they announced that the next core RPG was going to be on the Nintendo Switch, which is what people had moaned that Stars, the next core RPG, was going to be, wasn't... It makes no sense to me. People were complaining that Pokemon Stars or Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon should have been on the Switch. And then when they announced no more games are going to be on the 3DS because we're moving to Switch, everyone was like, why are you moving to Switch? I don't own a Switch. I can't afford one. This is ridiculous. I don't get it. I don't get why people are annoyed about it. Like, Nintendo 3DS, if you've played a double battle with weather up on the Nintendo 3DS, even the new Nintendo 3DS, you know exactly why they need to move to the Switch, because that thing lags like hell. The last thing we need to talk about, possibly the most significant development in the lead up to Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which I heard was a rumour, but then when I saw it revealed on Cerebi.net, of course, once it's on Cerebi, you know it stops being a rumour and it starts becoming fact. Team Rocket are returning. Team Rainbow Rocket, don't quite know what the thing is happening there, but it's absolutely fine. If Team Rocket have suddenly got a love for rainbows, I ain't gonna complain, Poke quality and all that. But Team Rocket are in some capacity going to be featured in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It was shown on download images for the games themselves that Team Rocket members are going to appear in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and I for one am hyped because Team Rocket is my favourite evil team. Team Skull are almost like a second best. I think for a while I liked them more than Team Rocket, but I do lean towards Team Rocket more. Maybe it's because they're the originals, maybe because I like the idea of the Poké Mafia, but the idea that Team Rocket is coming back is just fantastic. I can't wait to see how they're integrated into the story, whether they are integrated into the story, because for all we know, Team Rocket could be post-game stuff. Or, for all we know, it just could happen that a few Team Rocket grunts are in Alola. But the fact that they're on that artwork makes me feel like maybe there's something more significant going on that we're just not aware of. Needless to say, I'm hyped for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Needless to say, I'm excited for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And needless to say, you should be too. If you're not already hyped for these games, now is the time to get hyped. It's literally like probably 3 and a bit weeks away from the release of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Maybe 4 weeks. It's mind-blowing that it's come round so fast. This time a year ago, we were like, wow, Sun and Moon's coming out and we know so much about it. Ultra Sun and Moon are coming out in the same time frame, like very, very soon, but we don't really know that much. Like, I've listed what we know about it, and we don't know that much, really. We don't really know where this story's gonna go. We don't know about the Ultra Recon team and what they're actually gonna be doing, whether they're good guys or bad guys, or there's a misunderstanding. We don't know if the Aether Foundation is gonna be particularly evil. We don't know if the Aether Foundation is gonna be corrupted, and Luzamine might be ejected as the president for being a good person. We don't even know if she's actually a good person yet or not. We don't know where Team Skull really fall into the equation this time. We don't know where Team Rocket are going to fall into this. We don't know how many new Ultra Beasts there are. There are so many things we don't know about Ultra Sun and Moon, and I'm just really excited to find out. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion video. I hope it wasn't too rambly. I hope it wasn't just a mess, because listening to myself back it kind of sounds like it. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new, hit subscribe. And of course, until next time, I'm Ace Trainer Liam. Keep on training.